Although I had her to sign a disclosure, stating that I wasn't responsible, my broker, so forth. Well, did the work,
Mm.
and the seller refused to close.
My name is Kevin McIntosh, and this is The Closing Table, where we talk to experts about their experience in real estate all across the country. Let's go. Welcome back to The Closing Table. I am your host, Kevin C. McIntosh, and joining us on this episode, we have the pleasure of speaking with Jessica Toomer. How are you, Jessica?
I'm amazing. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. I am here, or I brought you here, I should say, so we could talk about real estate and what's going on specifically in your market. But let's get into a few games first. Or one game. It's an icebreaker. It's called Fill in the Blank, Jessica. Exactly what it sounds like. Have some incomplete sentences related to real estate, and I just want you to fill those in with context from your experience.
Okay.
Are you
I'm
ready? Let's go. First one. I don't know why people think real estate is blank.
Simple. Why they think it's simple to do.
Shame on them. Shame. In 10 years, the real estate industry will be blank.
Continuously growing strong.
I believe that too. Blank is the key to longevity as a realtor.
Consistency. Trust.
If you can blank, you can maintain a home.
Pay your bills.
That's a fact. Pay your taxes. You can. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Don't pay, don't stay.
Yeah, don't pay, don't stay. I love that one right there. Thank you, Jessica. Starting things off very lighthearted with us here on The Closing Table. So let's get it started. But before we really get into business, I like to kind of separate the person from the professional. So if you can, in 60 seconds or less, give us an overview. Tell us who you are outside of real estate.
I am a wife, a mom of 3, a grandma of 1. I enjoy life itself. I love to travel. I love sports.
Okay.
I just enjoy life. I mean, life is so short. Yeah. You have to enjoy each day that you're here. So good, bad, or indifferent, enjoy it.
I agree. Well said. Simply put, well said. Couldn't have said it better myself. So let's get into where you are and where you're serving currently with your services. If you can describe your market geographically for us, any notable landmarks and things of that nature, and then talk about what's going on real estate wise there. Just describe it for our audience who may have never been there.
Okay. Well, I was born and raised in Detroit. I am an advocate definitely for the community. I service broadly Wayne, Oakland, Macomb areas. I live in Oakland County.
Okay.
But Detroit, a lot of people have some negative things to say, but it is a beautiful community. It has so much history and communities that the culture of the workman craftsmanship can never be duplicated. So, yeah, that's what I do. I enjoy real estate.
I agree. Yeah, that Detroit market, what a special market it is. Me being from Detroit, also a Cass Tech graduate, I advocate for Detroit all day, every day. Right. So great that you're doing the work there.
Yes.
But let's talk about it since you already kind of went into it. There's a lot of different perspectives about the Detroit market and in real estate there. But has there been an instance where you had a client that was maybe skeptical, hesitant to buy in the Detroit market, and maybe you kind of eased them into it and actually helped them purchase a property there? Do you have an example of that story?
Actually, yes, I do.
Okay.
A lot of times I have investors that even recently that have contacted me from different out of state, New York, California, and they ask basically how the market here is in Michigan. They are skeptical. They say, well, I I'm scared to invest. Um, but as I tell them, I mean, that can be anywhere.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
truly, I mean, that could be in the state where you live. But it's
Hmm.
all about finding the right property in the right community and offer a quality product. You offer a quality product and not try to be, as I'm basically tell them, scum landlords,
Mm,
then you wouldn't have a problem, and that's what it sums up to. Offer, come in and do the work, and it will be rewarding for you. And that's the bottom line.
gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, yeah, yeah. See, I love that you're an advocate for that. You know, getting people to look at Detroit in a different
Mhm.
way, bring investors here, get the economy flowing. Because I can't quote the exact statistic, but there's a statistic where every home that's purchased brings a certain amount of money into that local economy, and it creates certain jobs and things of that nature. So it's very important. Your job in that market is very, very important, and I like
It,
to
the tax
point
base,
that out.
it
So what you're doing
increases
is
the
good.
tax basis for the city.
Exactly,
Hmm.
exactly, exactly. Has there been a unfortunate situation where maybe you've taken a property or taken transaction all the way to closing, possibly, or under contract? Let's say under contract, and then for some reason something happens and it doesn't close. Has there been any experience like that? And can you talk about it?
Well, unfortunately, I had one um,
Oh.
in in West Bloomfield area that was on close to the water area, and
Mm-hmm.
we got to closing, and the what happened is the survey came back at the last minute, and the person next door shed encroached on their property.
Mm.
So we didn't close.
Oh wow. Just like that.
Just like
Just that
that.
simple.
Just that simple.
Oh man.
I mean, they wasn't, and I mean, I understood they didn't want to do the battle,
Right, right.
and the neighbor wasn't going to be willing to tear down their shed.
Hmm.
So,
What do you think would have been a viable solution to that? What do you think? How do you think that could have been solved so where it could have closed?
uh, I don't think the amount of room that was on the land to me
Hmm.
wasn't significant enough not to close. I think they could
Mm.
have really possibly deeded them that couple of inches, but I mean, their attorney was like, no, you're not closing on this.
Wow. So it was under the guidance of the attorney
Correct.
that they said, "Oh wow,
Yes.
wow." Was the client okay with that? Like, how
They
did I mean?
were
Where they?
they were heartbroken in a lot of ways. I mean,
I
it was a
bet.
doctor and his fiance.
Oh.
Um, but no, we did find something else, but it wasn't near the water.
Mm, that's unfortunate.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
Things
Yeah.
happen. That's the world of real estate, right?
Yeah.
It's the world of real estate. You can't get them all.
No.
Okay. So what about a difficult client that you've dealt with? That doesn't seem like I don't know which end of the transaction you were on with that situation,
Buyer.
but the person in okay, good.
Mhm.
So it seemed like you had a pretty patient client, I will say. Has there been a situation where you dealt with a difficult or demanding client? And how did you manage that? How did you handle that?
Well, you'll find that realtors, we wear all kind of hats.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. And a lot of times I find that divorce situations are, are a lot more challenging than others.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I mean, it gets to a point where if one party is in the house and the other won't allow it to be shown or different things, and until to the point that I have to have a discussion with both
Mm,
that this material piece of property is something that is holding you back from moving on.
yeah.
So let's dissolve it and you both can move on with your life, whatever direction you want to go in. So I would say 99.9% that this final discussion that I have with both parties works out well for me with
Okay.
them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you kind of got like your own system to it. You already pretty much know if it's a divorce, it could be a sticky situation. If it is a sticky situation, I'm giving this speech to this speech to this person, and it usually works.
Yes. Yeah.
That takes experience right there. I could only imagine the first time you had to deal with that, how you reacted to it. It was probably very stressful.
Oh, it was. It was like,
I
okay,
bet.
yeah, let me regroup, rethink how to handle this.
Yeah, you caught in the middle of two people just
Yes.
I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine. Have you had any scenarios where it took you longer than expected to sell a client's home? And were there any specific factors that you can reflect on that, feel like that was the reason why it took so long?
um, Sometimes if there is like possibly issues far as condition,
Hmm.
other property, although you try to get over those hurdles, a lot of times it still becomes one. So you just have to realize how you have to handle that. And I mean, because there's a buyer for everything,
Oh yeah. Oh
regardless.
yeah. That's a fact.
But
That's a good one right there.
they may not, the seller may not get what they are anticipating on.
Mm-hmm.
And as I always tell them, presentation means everything.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's literally what you said right there was heavy because that's literally the other side of the coin of what I always say. I always say there's a market for
mhm,
everything. There's a market for you can sell any and everything,
right,
and just like you said, there's a buyer for everything. They will buy anything, but you just gotta kind of line them up.
right,
You gotta let them find each other.
right,
You
right.
know, so that was powerful right there. When you reflect, think back to your very first transaction
Ooh, that's been a while.
and how that went. I know. Think back to your first transaction and think about some of the mistakes that were made. Can you talk about some of the mistakes that you made that you would do different now, or that you do different now that that kind of in 2020 hindsight you like I should have done that different.
Well, there's one definite mistake that I made early on. And understand, I've been in
Mm-mm.
real estate for 32 years. So early on, when I first started, interest rates were in double digits. And
Yeah. Oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And at that point in time, a lot of land contracts and things of that nature were prevalent at that time.
Okay.
But this
Mm,
one particular time on a FHA loan, the buyer, the seller refused to do the work that was needed by FHA.
okay.
So the buyer really wanted the property, though I had her to sign a disclosure, stating that I wasn't responsible, my broker, so forth. Well, did the work,
Mm.
and the seller refused to close, changed their mind.
Well,
Yes,
what? What?
yes,
S-
yeah. So, would I ever do that again? No. Would I ever allow it to happen on a property that I am the listing agent? No. And even here recently, I had an agent to approach me in reference to a buyer doing work on a listing of mine, if
Mm-hmm.
we would accept an FHA loan. And I told her
Mm-hmm.
absolutely not.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. We got to go back. We got to go back. First off, why did you say that was your mistake? Like, I don't understand where your mistake comes in with that. That's on the seller, right? You don't have any control over that.
Well, I feel that it was my mistake because I should not had a I feel that I should not have allowed it to happen. I feel that I should had
Mm.
advised my client to move on to something else. So
Okay.
I feel that my client invested money in someone else's property that they no longer was able to obtain. So yes, I do feel that was my mistake.
I understand.
And
I
because
understand.
of that, I reimbursed that buyer 50% of what she invested in that
Oof.
repairs.
Oh my goodness. Oh my God. I would. I don't want to talk about what I would, but I would feel a certain type of way. Oh my
Well, I
goodness.
did. I mean, it was hurtful. Um,
Yeah,
it,
I get
it
it.
was hurtful to my pocket
Yeah, to
and
every.
to
I mean, the
her and to
buyers too, for
hers,
sure.
to
Yeah.
hers. But in the end, it still wound up being rewarding because that buyer was a repeat buyer, along with
Oh, okay. Good. Good.
along with referring people to me down in the
Mm.
future. So, sometimes things happen for a reason.
Right. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't understand it at the moment.
Right. Oh my God. Because I'm just listening like that is my blood is boiling. You know how mad I would be if I paid for. Oh my God, I'd be so mad.
Well, yeah,
Oh
yeah. You have to woosah now.
yeah, you definitely gotta woosah. You gotta do some praying too.
Oh yeah,
Oh
a whole
man.
lot of it. A whole lot. Trust me, a whole lot of it.
I bet. Okay. Wow. Look at you. Shout out to your patience for getting through that. Oh man, what a rough one that
Yes,
was.
it really was.
So you already spoke on that you've been doing this for a while, a few decades. Shout out to you for being in the game, longevity. You got to respect
Thank you.
that. With that being said, I want you to speak on specifically the Detroit market. Any notable shifts or trends in the real estate market in the Detroit market throughout your career? What significant shifts have you seen?
Okay, well, Detroit to me was pretty much the first to go into recession for,
Oh yeah.
okay? We were
Yep.
the first to
Yep.
go in and the
I
last to
was
come
there.
out,
Yep.
truly. Um, and it is still slowly progressing.
Hmm.
Um, there was a few years back where appraisers would not um, give the value as they did for other communities in the Michigan area.
Mm.
I was part of the committee that fought against the appraisers for downgrading the value of the Detroit properties, which then it began to skyrocket.
Really?
Yes. And then we had the bottom dropout because of all the predatory lending.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So, um, but again,
No, not to cut you off real quick. So when you're talking about you made the corrections with the appraisal, you're talking this
value.
is before the 2008.
Yes.
Oh wow. Okay. Wow. And, whew, man.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes.
Okay. Continue, please.
Um, so when I look at it now that yes, the Detroit market is still slowly progressing as
Hmm.
recouping from the recession, but once again, we're still at the point where it is not escalating as it is in out,
Other
outer
markets. Right.
outer
Right.
communities.
Hmm.
But the demand is still there, fortunately.
For sure.
Um, but again, with a lot of, fortunately, the Detroit downtown area is blooming, and the outskirts is, you know, from the downtown area is blooming and coming alive. It A lot of the communities now, people are seeing the value, and a lot of them are moving from the Oakland County areas and the Macomb areas, and they're coming to the inner city because the
Mm.
waterfront and different things. So yes, the values are coming and they are there, and the value is there. And once again,
Right.
the architect cannot be duplicated. Period.
Oh, that's a fact. Oh yeah, that's a
I mean,
fact. That's a fact.
you're talking plaster walls versus drywall, and the the mastering of the designs and in a lot of these homes, far as the structure architect cannot be duplicated. There's not even people that are living that can repeat that.
Hmm. Well said. Well said. So how have you witnessing these shifts and these trends, and specifically in the Detroit market, how has that changed your approach as a professional?
Well, I'm pretty consistent
Okay.
on how I approach things. I mean, I feel that consistency and dedication to what you're doing in any career um, gives you the best outcome. So,
Mm. Oh, yeah. I agree too. I was literally just speaking on this with a friend who started a podcast recently, and I was just telling him, like, yeah, it's good. You can have a fancy logo, you can tell a lot of people about it, but are you going to be consistent? Are you going to have that same mentality, that same work ethic 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now? Like, you got to have that consistent work ethic.
correct.
That's essentially what's going to make the difference through all the ups and downs of whatever industry that you're
That's
in.
correct.
Well said. Well said. You have any stories that you can share with us in regards to a rewarding relationship that you've built with the client over the years in your career?
Oh, I've had, fortunately, a lot of wonderful relationships that I have built with many of my clients that we have traveled together. Uh,
Oh,
yeah, we celebrate. different events. As a matter of fact, just had my grandson's open house for graduation at one of my clients' home because they have a huge. They're on seven
Oh, look at
acres,
that.
and yeah. So, and
Look at
I
the
sold
perks.
them.
I love it.
I sold them their home 25 years ago.
I
So
25. Oh
yeah.
my
So
goodness. Look at that.
like I said,
Oh.
it's just one of those situations. I mean, it's just like I'm part of a lot of their family and they're part of mine. So
Hmm.
we kind of that don't separate it. You know?
I love it. That story was a perfect example of a rewarding relationship because the fact, you sold them their home and it was so long ago, but you kept that
Mhm.
relationship and you said their home was so big, beautiful enough, and they were so welcoming enough to let your grandson host his open house there.
Yes.
I mean, that's beautiful. I haven't even seen the home, but I'm just imagining how elaborate and beautiful it was, and then how great the event was.
Right.
Nice. That can only happen when you have relationships like that, helping people obtain those type of
Right.
homes.
Right.
Nice, nice, nice. Jessica, you already spoke on being a part of certain committees and board of directors and things of that, and the difference that it made. I had no idea about that with the appraisal thing and you being a part of the board. So I want to applaud you for that
No,
first and foremost as a Detroiter
thank
myself,
you.
native Detroiter. Um, any other boards, committees that you're a part of, and certain work that those committees and boards do within the city that you want to speak on that you're proud of? And can you just speak on how this helps your career or professionally, personally? Can you just speak on that, please?
Um, I am currently all of this is volunteer. I sit
Mm-hmm.
on the professional standards committee for the Greater Association of Realtors, Metropolitan Association of Realtors. I was formerly on their ethics committee, their grievance committee, nominating committee, and throughout the years, um, being on those boards, it's somewhat like we police each other to make certain
Mm,
that we are treating the general public in a fair manner,
right.
um, as well as other realtors. That you're
Mm-hmm.
out there doing things by professional standards, um, and following the laws and regulations as the guidelines for the state. So, if not, then I sit on the professional standards, which I'm the last committee that you see, and I'm the panel, and you're in front of me as a for hearing. So
Mm.
yeah, but
Pretty important.
but at the end of the day, with these different committees, it also refreshes you, and it's still a learning and refreshing process. So I
Right.
mean, I still, although I've been in business for 32 years so far, it's still it refreshes, and it's still a learning process. And then it also tell you, okay, uh, you're out there doing that. I definitely, it's kind of an eye opener as well. And like, oh, well, yeah, no, that's not right.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
it's refreshing and it's educational. It refreshes. It refreshes you on things that you know that you supposed to be doing, but
For sure.
um, but I enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love how you put it in perspective. It just basically show that it's part of your continued education
Oh
also,
yeah,
which is something that is absolutely necessary in your industry and any industry for that matter, because things are forever moving and evolving.
correct.
Change is the only change the only thing that's consistent. I forgot what the saying is. Nonetheless, like you have to stay up to date on industry trends and current events and things that's happening in your market.
Right.
So being a part of those panels and those committees that actually do help make some of those changes also, I could imagine. And then the fact that you said those are volunteer, can we put some more respect in your
Thank
name first and
you.
foremost, because you're volunteering your time to do that and you're making a difference with it also. So I mean, I can't do anything but respect that, and you're doing it in my hometown, so I love it even
Oh,
more,
you're welcome.
Jessica. Yeah, yeah. So, well, thank you so much for pulling up a chair to the closing table. We appreciate you for sharing your knowledge with us. At this point, if you have any last words and or want to tell people how to reach out to you, please do so now.
Again, my name is Jessica Toomer. I am with Signature Sotheby's International Realty. My cell number is 313-618-3725. And I don't keep banker's hours. So you can, um, I do answer my phone. So look
Mm-hmm.
forward to helping you, whether you are buying or selling. It would truly be my
Perfect.
pleasure.
Perfect. Thank you so much,
And
Jessica.
thank
We
you for
appreciate you
having
for
me
sharing your
on.
knowledge.
I appreciate it.
Why, thank you. Why, thank you. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. For our YouTube audience watching right now, if you've gotten to this point in the episode, please do us both a favor and hit the like button. Make sure you also share the content and subscribe to our channel. Please and thank you. And if you're listening on Apple, Spotify, or any other podcast platforms, please do the same. Give us a like, 5-star rating, and subscribe for our latest content. Just because I like to leave our audience with a question before they leave the room. So, audience, this is for you. I want to talk about your specific experience or perspective of Detroit. What was your views and opinions of the Detroit market after this interview or before? Just let us know what you think in the comments below. Besides that, we will talk to you next time.